Hey everybody, today we're going to cover the special election results from yesterday, September 5th. We might be looking at two upsets, and this week I might not be able to get to a coin flip battle. I had too many other videos I had to get to, but if I don't, they'll be back next week. So let's get into these elections. Maybe you don't follow politics, you're not sure what happened. Well, we had two special elections for the U.S. House, one in Rhode Island, one in Utah. Let's start in Rhode Island, and this does look like at least a moderate upset. The winner here with 32.5% is Gabe Amo. Aaron Regenberg got in second place with only about 25%. Sandra Cano down there with 14. This is surprising because Regenberg was the progressive candidate. He had the Bernie Sanders endorsement. He had the AOC endorsement. There was not a ton of polling out, but Regenberg was in the lead. So this is a blow for the progressives. Gabe Amo, he's considered more moderate. He did work in the Biden administration, so he has establishment written all over him. Now, as you can see, there were a ton of candidates in this race, so winning with only 32.5% of the vote, in my opinion, that is completely unsatisfying. I do think there should be a runoff. Ranked choice voting would also work in the primary if it's separated by party. If you take the rest of the establishment vote, Gabe Amo probably still would have come out on top. So Rhode Island, it's a blue state. This is a very blue district, but whatever those voters are looking for, it was not somebody more progressive. Now, Gabe Amo is not going to be in the House just yet. This was just a primary. The general election will be on the normal day of November 7th. Now, there is another side to this. That's the Republican primary. But as I said, this district, it's overwhelmingly blue. Joe Biden won it by more than 25 points in 2020, so there's not really going to be much focus on the Republican side at all. The winner there was Gary Leonard. I'm pretty sure it's Gary, not Jerry. He's the winner, but look at that, only 3,000 votes for him. There were 4 candidates on the Democratic side that had more than that total, so it's close to a 0% chance this guy has any chance. With his primary win, Gabe Amo secured his victory. You can take a look at this article if you want to get some more background. But I do think it's surprising. Progressive coming up short again. I'm sure the establishment is thrilled by that. We know they don't like outsider progressive candidates. And Gabe Amo, he's never even held elected office. But when you're coming from the Biden administration, that pretty much speaks for itself. He could get primaried next year in the regular election for 2024. But other than that, those are the results out of Rhode Island. Now, we also have Utah. We still have votes to count, but there is another potential upset here. This is the 2nd congressional district, and there's 80% of the vote in. So a good chunk still out there. In the lead right now, Celeste Malloy has 38%, Becky Edwards has 36%, Bruce Hoff has 26%. Now the background of this race is a little unusual. There was a convention. The winner of that was Celeste Malloy. She also got the endorsement of outgoing U.S. Representative Chris Stewart, but Becky Edwards and Bruce Hoff, they collected enough signatures to get on the primary ballot, and there was one poll. It did show Becky Edwards with a significant lead, but there were again a lot of undecideds. Now the thing about Becky Edwards, she's an anti-Trump Republican. She apparently voted for Biden. She's considered super moderate. And I know Utah is not big on Trump Republicans, but in a Republican primary, I would still think the base would not prefer someone like that. But I would think she'd be considered more in the direction of Liz Cheney, pretty much a Democrat or a rhino. So I haven't followed this race super closely. I don't know how you can get away with voting for the opposite party in the recent presidential election. I think if she said she didn't vote, that would have been much better. Edwards did have a lot of support, and it looked like she was going to win because the other two candidates, it seems like they were going to split the vote, and they kind of did. But right now, Edwards is trailing Malloy by 2%. Now, this could change by the time you watch this video, but if you take a look at this map here, this district, it is gerrymandered. It has part of the Blue or Salt Lake City area, and in that county, Edwards has a substantial lead, over 60%. She's got 49 in Davis County, but then in the red rural counties, that's where Celeste Malloy, she has a pretty good lead, and Edwards is in 3rd place in most of these counties. Now, similar to Rhode Island, I definitely would want to see a runoff, somebody winning with under 40% of the vote. That is completely unsatisfying. Rhode Island had way more candidates than this, but even with 3 candidates, splitting the vote that much, I don't think we'll achieve the most democratic result. But anyway, this general election is not on November 7th. It's apparently 2 weeks later on November 21st. That also seems like a complete waste for me, but the winner of that will serve out the rest of Chris Stewart's term, which ends in January 2025. So if Becky Edwards does end up coming out on top, she would likely get a serious primary challenger next year. Same thing could happen if Celeste Malloy comes out on top. And as for Bruce Hoff, he gave it a good run, 26% though, not going to get it done this time. And in that general election, the winner here does have to face Democrat Kathleen Reeby. She's not on here because she did not go through a primary, she's already the nominee. It's considered safe Republican in the general election. In 2022, Chris Stewart, he won by over a 25-point margin. So very unlikely the Democrat has any chance here, although if it is Becky Edwards against the Democrat, I think a lot of voters might have a little bit of trouble differentiating between the two. So to sum it all up, we've got one news story here on roll call, and the thing to take note of here is, remember, there's only 80% of the vote counted yet, but in Utah, all ballots are cast by mail and can still count as late as September 19th if they're cast by election day. I guess that's how they want to do it there, that's how they like it, but I think it's reasonable to not want to be counting votes 2 weeks later, especially in a close election. You want to get those results as quickly as possible. Ballots trickling in for another 14 days, I don't think is really satisfying, and if you're not allowed to cast a ballot in person, that to me is also unsatisfying, but who cares what I think? That's what's happening in Utah. 2 special elections, potentially 2 unexpected results. That just goes to show turnout can be very weird on these special elections. Polling is hard to trust to get an accurate sample of the electorate. There's always going to be undecideds and late breakers, so if you thought it was easily going to be Regenberg and Edwards, I'm sure you're surprised by the voters. Given there's so many unknowns, I was open to a range of potential outcomes based on the little information we had going in. I still think the results are surprising, but that is what happens in politics. It's hard to have a lot of confidence. Complacency easily sets in, and that leads to some unexpected results, and I think that's what we might have here, certainly in Rhode Island and potentially in Utah. So let me know in the comments, what do you think about the results of either of these races? Can you believe Regenberg fell short? Do you think Edwards can pull it out in Utah? What do you think about the lack of runoffs in these primaries? And how about voting by mail, taking 2 weeks to count the votes? What do you think of that? Let me know down below. On your way out, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Join or donate if you'd like to support the channel. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.